Hello everyone. Today we'll take up an important topic, understanding which is very crucial for solving a few questions in exercise 4.3 of chapter quadratic equations in the NCERT book. That is, solving by the method of completing the square. We know that a quadratic equation is of the form ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, where a is the coefficient of x square, b is the coefficient of x, and c is the coefficient of x to the power 0. So let us understand the steps that are to be followed. Now, step 1 is to check for a common term. Say for instance, we have 4x plus 8 expression. Here we can see that 4 is common to both the terms. 4 is common to 4x and it is common to 8. So we can take that out of the brackets and we'll be left with x plus 2 inside the brackets. So we've taken 4 common, and when we do this, then we are going to proceed to step 2. There might be expressions, say for instance 4x plus 1, when nothing comes out to be common. In such cases, we'll directly proceed to step 2. Now, step 2 is to divide the entire equation by a. Now, what is a? A here is the coefficient of x square. So, when we divide the entire equation by a, we'll see that we'll be making the coefficient of x square 1. So, till step 2, we have reached a point where we have made the coefficient of x square 1. By dividing the entire equation by a. Alright, so in this case, if you see here, now the coefficient of x square becomes 1, the coefficient of x becomes b upon a, and the coefficient of x to the power 0 becomes c upon a. Alright, now coming on to the next step. B upon a, that is the coefficient of x, is to be squared and divided by 4. So this b upon a whole square upon 4 is to be found out in step 3. Now coming on to the next step. So before we actually understand what step 4 is, I would like to ask a very simple question to you all, and I would like you all to answer for yourselves. Say for instance we have an equation 4x equal to 9. Please tell me, if I add 5 on the LHS of this equation, will this equation remain the same as the above? Well, you are right if your answer is no. The two equations are not same. Similarly, if I subtract 5 from one hand of this equation, the two equations won't be same. But if in one single step I add and I subtract the same term, the two equations that now I have will be same. So 4x equal to 9 in another way is written as 4x plus 5 minus 5 is equal to 9. So step 4 is simply this. Step 4, we'll be adding the result that we've obtained in step 3. We'll be adding this result to and subtracting the very same result from the expression on the LHS. So in one single step, here we are adding and we are subtracting the result that we have obtained in step 3. Step 4. Simply here we have to rearrange the terms. So whatever we added, that is b upon a whole square upon 4, this that we added will be written with the first two terms, and whatever we had subtracted, we'll be writing this with the third term. So you see, this is the equation that now we have. Now moving further, step 5 is to keep the first three terms together and then we'll proceed solving, and the next two terms together and then we'll solve. Now step 6. Here we see that when we keep the first three terms together, identity a plus b whole square or identity a minus b whole square can be applied. You see, the first three terms will either be the expansion of a plus b whole square or it will be the expansion of a minus b whole square. here we can see that identity a plus b whole square can be applied. So we'll do that. So the three terms have been reduced to a term in brackets and it is squared. Also, in the very same step, we were supposed to solve the next two terms. So you have to keep this one thing in mind to make things and calculations simpler and confusion free for yourselves. While solving the next two terms, we'll be taking plus common and we'll write whatever is left inside the brackets. We'll solve the brackets and then we'll open the bracket after solving. Now you see that when we reach the end of this step and when we've applied this step to the initial equation that we had, we'll be left with something looking like this. So we'll be having a term that is squared, we'll be having plus after that or minus, and another bracket will be there. So just so that I can explain things better, I'll name this bracket, first bracket as x and the second bracket as y. So the equation, I'll say, has been reduced to x square either plus or minus y is equal to 0. Now this is important. Now the next step here is to find the roots or to solve the equation and find the values of x or the variable that is involved. So we see that two cases are possible. Either we have equation x square plus y equal to 0 or we have x square minus y equal to 0. You see, if you have x square plus y equal to 0, then when we reduce it, we get x square is equal to minus y. And if we have x square minus y equal to 0, then the equation when reduced and solved will give you the value of x square equal to plus y. Now whatever case we've got while solving the questions, if it is case 1, we'll simply say that no real roots are possible here. And we won't be doing anything else after reaching this step. Why are we saying no real roots possible? Because we know that a square term cannot be negative. Alright, the next case is when the value of x square equal to y has been reached. Here we'll simply take the square root on both the sides and find the value of the variable involved. So this is what is supposed to be done. Now let us take one example and try and apply all these steps. Say for instance we have an equation 6x square minus 4x minus 42 is equal to 0. Now the first step is to take common. So we see that 2 is common to all the three terms here. We'll write 2 outside the brackets and inside we'll be left with 3x square minus 2x minus 21 is equal to 0. 2 can be taken on the other hand and we see that 0 upon 2 will give you 0 only. So the equation now that we have is 3x square minus 2x minus 21 is equal to 0. Alright, the other step was to make the coefficient of x square, which is step 2, is to make the coefficient of x square 1. And we were making the coefficient of x square 1 by dividing the entire equation by the coefficient of x square. So here we see the coefficient of x square is 3. So we'll be dividing the entire equation by 3. So we've done that. And we see that the equation that now we have is x square minus 2 upon 3 x minus 21 upon 3 is equal to 0. Now coming on to the third step. The third step was to find b upon a whole square upon 4, or in other words, whatever the coefficient of x is, we'll be squaring it and dividing it by 4. So we see minus 2 upon 3 is the coefficient of x here, so we'll be squaring it, we get 4 upon 9, and when we divide it by 4 we get 4 upon 9 divided by 4. We further can write it in the form 4 upon 9 divided by 4 upon 1. And when we rearrange the terms, we see that 4 in the numerator and 1 in this denominator can be written together in multiplied form. So 4 into 1 upon 9 into 4 we can write and we get 1 upon 9. So minus 2 upon 3 whole square upon 4 is giving us 1 upon 9. So we see that 1 upon 9 is the term that is to be added and subtracted from the LHS of the equation. So we'll do that. Now the next step is to rearrange the terms, or whatever we had added, we were writing it with the first two terms, and whatever we had subtracted, we were writing it with the third term of the equation. So we are writing plus 1 upon 9 with the first two terms, that is x square minus 2 upon 3x, and we are writing minus 1 upon 9 with the third term, that is minus 21 upon 3. Now next step was to apply the identity, or in other words, solve the first three terms together and solve the next two terms, keeping the two terms together. So we see that the first three terms are the form of the expansion of either a plus b whole square or a minus b whole square. Here we see that x square minus 2 upon 3x plus 1 upon 9 can be written as, when we rearrange, x whole square minus 2 into x into 1 upon 3 plus 1 upon 3 whole square. And we see that this is the expanded form of the identity a minus b whole square, where a is x and b is 1 upon 3. So the first three terms of this equation can be written as x minus 1 upon 3 whole square. So we've done that. Next step was to take plus outside the brackets and solve whatever we were getting inside the brackets. So we've taken plus common, and inside the brackets we are left with minus 21 upon 3 minus 1 upon 9. We'll solve this and we see that we are left with minus 64 upon 9 inside the brackets. Now next we'll be opening the brackets and we see that we get x minus 1 upon 3 whole square will be left as it is. We'll simply open the next bracket and we see that we get minus 64 upon 9 is equal to 0. Now next we are taking this minus 64 upon 9 on the RHS. So we have a square term equal to some positive term here. If you recall the steps earlier, we can see that here case 2 can be applied. So what is case 2? Case 2 is when x square was equal to a positive term. So here we have a positive term. And what is the step? The step is simply to take the square root on both the sides and then find the roots. This needs to be solved further. So we'll be applying this case 2's condition and we see that we'll take the square root on both the sides. When we take square root on both the sides, we'll have this equation. When we further solve, on the LHS, 2 and 1 upon 2 gets cancelled out and we are left with x minus 1 upon 3 and 64 upon 9 inside the roots will give you the value plus minus 8 upon 3. Further, we see that two cases are possible. When x minus 1 upon 3 is positive 8 upon 3 and the other case is when x minus 3 is negative 8 upon 3. So both the cases we'll solve and we see that the value of x that we have is, one is 3, the other is minus 7 upon 3. So I hope the topic is clear to you. Thank you very much and all the very best.